Yesterday, test planning phase of UFT test process. In that, we discussed 5 important tasks. Test planning phase of UFT test process. First phase. 5 important tasks we discussed. First one, get environment details from development team and select appropriate add-ins. Next, analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. Next, select test cases or areas for automation. Next, tool settings configuration and globalize. Fifth one, optional task but important task nowadays, automation framework implementation. Come to this one, automation framework design and implementation. See, design is company level. If you design automation framework, that can be used for multiple projects, for one or more projects. Design company level, implementation project level. See, automation framework design and implementation. First, we will discuss theory. First topic, what is automation framework? What is automation framework? Say, in simple words, you can say like this. It is a systematic approach to automate software test process. Already we discussed yesterday, without framework, without automation framework implementation also we can create and execute tests, but it is systematic approach. See, it is a systematic approach to automate software test process. Or you can say it is a set of guidelines, assumptions and process developed by experts, means senior people, in order to perform tasks in an effective, efficient and optimized way. See, it is a set of guidelines, assumptions and process that developed by experts, means senior people, developed by experts in order to perform tasks in an effective and optimized way. Tell me, Brenda, what is automation framework? Test process. Another definition? Hmm. Effective and optimized way. Okay. Say, not only these definition, you can use your own words. Anyhow, it is general topic, global topic. Say automation. Automation. This term first introduced by Microsoft. Say general automation means manual process to mechanized process. Suppose industry automation, banks automation, etc. Manual process to mechanized process. Test automation means accessing software objects from another software. Accessing software objects from another software. Here two software. One is application under test, another is UFT tool. We access application objects using UFT software. Accessing software objects from another software is called automation. This term first introduced by Microsoft. Okay. So I think all of you familiar with what is automation framework. See, framework, general term, you can find this term in Java, Oracle, etc. See, automation framework. Next, why? Already I told, automation framework optional. Without automation framework also we can create and execute tests. We can automate without framework also. How? Batch testing feature is there. You create a series of tests and form test batches and execute. No need of framework, but it is systematic approach. Nowadays, most of the companies following this framework concept. Why automation? Why automation framework? Say, I will explain two scenarios. Concentrate. First scenario, writing a letter. For that you can choose Word document. Writing a letter is task, Word document is file, resource. See here, simple task, one task, one file. Task is writing a letter, file is Word document. For this, you no need to have any systematic approach. Why? Simple task, one file only. No need to have systematic approach. Another scenario, test automation. See, in a project test automation, we create and use different types of files and we perform different types of tasks in order to store, organize and maintain them all. A systematic approach, nothing but framework is required. Observe. In a project test automation, we create and use different types of files, not only single type of file, not only single type, different types of files. Next, we perform different types of tasks uh, in order to store and organize them all a systematic approach. The systematic approach called automation framework. Automation framework is required. Tell me, Anita, why automation framework?
In a project of test automation, we create and use different types of files to store and organize them in a systematic approach.
A systematic approach, nothing but automation framework is required. Okay, I think all of you familiar with what is automation framework. Next, why automation framework? See, in this second topic, we used two concepts. One is types of files. Next, tasks. See, the extension of this topic, files to be created in automation framework. Files to be created. Next, tasks to be executed or performed. See, here we use different types of files in. Already we discussed UFT is one tier application. It doesn't have any database. It stores its resources using file format on hard disk. Some files are local files, local formats. Example, shared object repository. Some files are global files, global file format. Example, XML. Tell me, Sultana Parvin, files to be created in test automation using UFT.
Some file XML.
XML.
Some file.
Okay, cool. You need to remember these file names. Tell me, Surendra, files to be created.
VBS files,
Hmm.
XML files,
Hmm.
and result files.
Okay. First, shared object. Shared object repository files. Extension, Silpa. Extension TRS. Yes. Test shared repository. Sultana, is it a local file format or global file format? Global. Global. How can you say is it global? It is global file format. Suppose XML is global. Why? XML can be understood by any technology. In Notepad also you can open XML file. How can you say this TSR file is global file format? Anita, is it global or local file format?
Local file format.
Local. Why?
Because it belongs to the UFT.
It can be understood by UFT only. In UFT only we can open this file, we can edit this file, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
You can't open this file in other application. So that's why it is a local file format. Say only UFT can understand this format. Don't confuse, Sultana. It is not global file format, local file format. Only UFT tool can understand this format. Next, function library files .vbs. Sridevi, is it global file format or local format? Global. Why? Other technologies, VB editors. Next, Notepad. You can open this file in Notepad also and edit. Not only in UFT tool editor. Next, environment. Environment variables file dot XML, extensible markup language. Next, test batch files. Brenda, test batch files. Batch, no, test batch files. Shivram, test batch files. Dot .mtb. Earlier it was Mercury test batch, now they are calling module test batch. Next, recovery scenario files. Anita, recovery scenario files. Recently we discussed. You need to remember the extensions. In the certification exam also they ask file formats. And for test automation also you need to familiar with extensions. Dot QRS, quick recovery scenario. Next, see, these are standard file formats. Means, suppose for shared object repository, most of the time we use TSR file. See, we can export shared object repository to XML, but that is only for editing. If you want to generate tests using shared object repository, you must associate TSR file only. See, this is standard format. No other files. Function library, environment variables files, test batch file, recovery scenario file, standard formats. Next, some other files are there. For that you can use alternates. For example, test data files. Here no standard file format. You can use either text file or Excel file or database files, etc. Otherwise, UFT tool feature data table. Here no restriction. Next, test result files also no restriction. Test result files. See, UFT provides test result in XML format, but we can export result to any format. You can use same text file or Excel file or database files, etc. Next, AOM, automation object model. AOM script files. Silpa, AOM script files. Surendra, AOM script files. Arjun, can you hear me? Arjun. Tell me, Shivaram, AOM script files. VBS. See, these are the important files that we use in UFT test automation. Next, tasks. Tasks to be performed. See here, I will list out all tasks, all important tasks. Concentrate. First one. Okay, Arjun. Okay. First one, you know that one. List out all important concepts from scratch. Anita, first one, get environment details from development team and select appropriate add-ins. Next.
UI design, technology, and database.
Okay, okay. Environment details means important environment details, UI design technology and database information. Okay, next.
Analyze UAT in terms
Okay.
of object identification.
See, analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. Object identification. Next.
Select test case for automation.
Yes. Select test cases or areas for automation. Automation. Next.
Automation framework implementation.
Before that, one more task also there. Tool settings.
Yeah, tool setting and configuration.
Tool settings configuration. And globalize. What is globalizing? I explained already. Next, automation framework implementation. Automation framework implementation. Okay, put mute. Under this automation framework implementation tasks, first one, create a folder structure to store automation resources. Create a folder structure. Create a folder structure to store and organize automation resources. Automation resources. Sultana, automation resources means? What are automation resources? Several times explained. See, follow the terminology. What are automation resources, Brenda? Sivaram, automation resources. A shared object, repository files, function library files, recovery scenario files, environment variable files, all these are automation resources. We use automation resources for creating and executing tests. See, next, create automation resources, and store into corresponding folders. Next, create organizer. Create organizer file. What is organizer? It is Excel file. It provides instructions to driver script. What is driver script? Forget about that. I will explain in process guidelines topic. Create organizer file. What is the functionality of organizer? It is a Excel file. It provides instructions to driver script. Next, generate driver script. What is driver script? It is UFT test or test script. It executes tests one by one and export result based on organizer instructions. It executes tests one by one and export test result based on organizer instructions. Next, build tests using, see, in automation framework only we build tests. Build tests using automation initialization script. See, it is AOM script file. It launches UFT tool and calls driver script. Then driver execute tests one by one and export test result. At the end, initialization script closes UFT tool. See, initialization script has three functionalities. First one, it launches UFT tool. Next, calls driver script. Next, it quits UFT tool. Next, see, tests run. We can execute a series of tests using driver script. Next, after execution, analyzing test results and reporting defects using company defect management system. based on your company defect tracking system. Next, after defect reporting, select tests for regression testing and regression testing cycle 1. See how many cycles, that depends on size of the application, complexity of the application, and strength of the development team. Next, after it, next, maintenance. See, you need to maintain automation resources for future versions. Automation resources maintenance. See, these are the important tasks in automation, test automation using UFT. Can you list out this one? Tell me, Surendra. Important tasks in test automation using UFT tool. Just list out 13 tasks. Can you tell me, Sridevi? Quick.
Get environment details from development team.
Ah.
Select appropriate add-ins. Analyzing the AUT in terms of object identification. Selecting test cases for automation.
Fourth one, tool settings conf.
Configure and globalize. Automation framework implementation.
Next, under automation framework implementation.
Create a folder structure
Mm.
to store automation resources.
Mm.
And creating automation resources. Building test using automation resources.
You forgot one thing.
Organizer spreadsheet. Creating driver script. Create initialization script. Runs. Defect tracking. Reporting. And then selecting test for regression testing. Update automation resources. Maintain automation resources.
Okay. Defect tracking and reporting you told. Which one is first? Defect tracking or defect reporting?
Reporting defect.
Yes, reporting first, then tracking. Okay. Defect reporting and tracking. Okay. Okay. See. Next, one more general topic. Types of Types of automation framework. Types of automation framework. Say automation framework. It is a general concept. Not only in UFT, you can find this automation framework concept in other tools also. Selenium, RFT, Test Complete, Test Partner, Silk Test, etc. And one more thing, automation framework names also local, not global. Not global. See, automation framework names also local. You can use your own names. Suppose if you say, in our company we are following ABCD framework. If you explain proper process, then we have to accept it. Why? ABCD framework might be there in your company. You can't argue. If you explain proper process, then we have to accept that ABCD framework might be there. See, generally companies use meaningful names. Just remember one important concept. Automation framework names local. Companies use their own names, but some common names available in the industry. I will explain that common framework types. See, first generation framework, old one, I think 90s concept. Record and playback. Record and playback framework. Record and playback. Or you can say linear framework. This is first generation framework. See, I will give brief introduction. See, description, advantages, next, disadvantages. See, first description. In this approach, tests can be created using recording feature. See, in this approach, tests can be created using a recording feature. And we can edit recorded script also. You can insert flow control statements in recorded scripts also. Okay, simple description. In this approach, tests can be created using recording. Next, advantages. Tell me, Brenda, guess some advantages of record and playback framework. See, that is scripting knowledge optional. See, if you know the navigation means requirement, you can generate. Scripting knowledge is optional, not mandatory. Next, see, easy to generate tests, na? See, easy to generate tests, and it takes less time. You can quickly generate tests. and it takes less time. Contribute Silpa. Easy to generate tests and takes less time. Any other? Scripting knowledge optional. No, incorrect. Shivaram, contribute. Say if we use keyword driven methodology or descriptive programming for creating tests, time required. At initial stage, more efforts required. But for recording, less efforts. So recommended for, say, suitable for small scale projects, or you can say bounded projects, short term projects. See, suitable or recommended for short term projects. Next, recommended for dynamically changing UI designs. Suppose if user interface design is changing dynamically, that time putting effects every time taking process and more resources required. See, recommended for dynamically changing UI designs. When this type of situation happens, see, sometimes in product development, software product development, intended for multiple users, intended for multiple customers, first companies finalize functionalities, user interface. After getting the feedback from existing customers or model customers, they finalize. They frequently change the user interface design and get feedback from existing customers or model customers. First, they release one user interface, but functionality fixed. After 15 days, they change that UI design. For every week or every 15 days, they change UI design. At the end, they finalize user interface. That time, other methods not recommended. Why? Every time efforts required. If it is recording, re-record. Simple. Next, recommended for dynamically changing requirements. Generally, for dynamically changing requirements, automation not preferable. After getting stable application also, after getting a stable application only, we try to automate. Sometimes sudden changes at middle of the project development, the time recording is recommended. See, recommended for dynamically changing requirements. Anything else, Silpa? That is that is not advantage of framework, na. That is advantage of recording feature, isn't it? That is advanced. See, recording is used to analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. That is advantage of recording, not advantage of record and playback framework. Anything else, Anita?
Sir, while recording, it creates its own repositories, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Everything is created by itself.
Hmm.
No need of any manual maintenance.
Okay, that's why I told now easy to generate tests and takes less time.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, see we covered maximum. Next come to disadvantages part. Disadvantages. Contribute Brenda, disadvantages. Ah, see first, no centralized maintenance of test objects, isn't it? If you create 200 tests, so for example, every test having two actions, average, 200 into 2, 400 local object repositories, sometimes duplicate objects. See, modifications difficult na? See, no centralized maintenance of test objects. Next, see if you record tests, every time it stores objects information. Sometimes, suppose flight reservation window is there, based on that window if you generate 10 or 20 tests, every time it stores flight reservation window object, duplicate objects. Due to duplicate objects, low in performance. If it is shared object repository, that can be associated with multiple actions or multiple tests, low in performance. Next, see already we discussed scripting knowledge optional. So concentration on complex functional. See less or no concentration on complex functionality testing. See less or no concentration on complex functionality testing. Next, psychological issue. If you record tests, you may not have command on tests. So locating errors is difficult. Say testers may not have command on tests. So locating errors is difficult. Next, anything else, Silpa? Okay, not recommended for long-term projects. And one more thing, we cannot start test design process even the application is ready, isn't it? After getting application only we can start test design process. If it is keyword driven methodology, we can define test objects. Okay, that is small advantage anyhow. Without application automating software applications not recommended. Any others, Brenda? Hmm. See, all we can't record all types of statements. See, UFT can't record all types of steps or statements. See, these are the important disadvantages. Tell me, Sultana, what is record and playback framework? Description. What is record and playback framework?
This was like internal process
Hmm.
and this use like local architecture.
Hmm. Concentrate, Sultana. Concentrate. Tell me, Shivaram, what is record and playback or linear framework? Yes. In this approach, tests can be created using recording. Next, advantage of this framework, Anita. Advantage of record and playback or linear framework. First generation framework, 1990s concept.
Here the scripting knowledge is optional.
Ah.
It's very easy to generate and it's not much time consuming.
Hmm.
Then it's perfect for short-term projects.
Hmm.
It's recommended for dynamically changing UI designs and the requirements.
Good. Next, Silpa, disadvantage of this linear framework. Disadvantages.
Low centralized maintenance is frustrating.
Hmm.
Low in performance.
Hmm.
Less of low concentration in complex functional dependencies.
Hmm.
The testers may use command line types for mistaken errors and predictors.
Hmm.
UFT cannot record all types of statements.
Okay. Some statements can't be recorded. See, observe, Sultana. See, in olden days, some companies used framework for only data-driven testing, remaining testing using batch testing. But nowadays, this data-driven framework is not separate thing. It is part of all types of framework. It is part of modular framework and keyword framework, etc. See, data-driven. See, in record and playback framework also, we can use data-driven approach. Data-driven framework. What is data-driven framework? See, description. In this approach, tests can be created and executed using multiple sets of test data. In this approach, tests can be created and executed using multiple sets of test data. You know advantages. Anita, tell me advantage of this framework. Advantage of data driven framework. Silpa.
Simple, plus simple.
That is not primary thing. Positive and negative testing. Positive and negative. Important one, negative testing. You take any application, positive scenarios, simple, negative scenarios more. Which one is higher, Brenda? Positive scenarios or negative scenarios? You take any software application. Negative. Suppose login, take login functionality. In that positive scenario, only one scenario. After entering valid agent name and password, then you can get flight reservation window. If you get flight reservation window, then pass. Otherwise fail. But negative scenarios so many. See, valid user ID, invalid password, invalid user ID, valid password, blank user ID, valid password, so many scenarios. See, next, reliability testing. See, by executing same tests again and again, we can check the reliability of the system. System means application under test. In internet you can find, suppose if you perform same operation multiple times, some applications may hang. Hanging application is not reliable application. See, reliability testing. Already we discussed. Basically, UFT is functional and regression test tool, but it supports little bit performance testing, little bit reliability testing. See, these two are the important advantages. Next, disadvantages. See, this is also low in performance. Why? Huge amount of data na? Low in performance. Next, we need to maintain more resources. Maintenance is difficult, etc. Tell me, Brenda, what is data-driven framework? Advantages, disadvantage. Quick.
Multiple tests can be created and executed using multiple sets of data. Advantages is positive and negative testing and reliability testing. And disadvantages low performance and maintenance.
Okay. Okay. See, next, modular framework. Modularity, similarity. Suppose insert order end-to-end test, end-to-end scenario. For insert order, first login, then insert order, next close application. Next open order end-to-end test, end-to-end scenario. First login, then insert order, next open order, close application. For these two tests, login is modular, reusable component. See, modular framework. Modular framework. See description. In this approach, tests can be created and executed using reusable components. See, in this approach, tests can be created and executed using reusable components. Advantages. First one, high in performance. Next, if you find more reusable components, definitely you can reduce the code size. So maintenance easy. Next, concentration on complex functionality testing. See, testers have command on tests. Locating errors also easy. Locating errors is easy, etc. Next, disadvantages. Tell me, Anita, disadvantages. Scripting knowledge mandatory, na?
Yes, sir.
Scripting knowledge is mandatory. Next,
Low in performance.
high in performance.
Yes, high in performance.
Reusable components, na? High in performance. Scripting knowledge is mandatory. Next, at initial stage, modular framework takes more time, na?
Yeah, more time.
Creating all automation resources and building tests taking more time than record and playback. So it is not recommended for short-term projects. See, not suitable for short-term projects. Next, Silpa. Not suitable for short-term projects. See, not suitable for dynamically changing requirements. Why? So every time efforts required. etc. Tell me, Silpa. Modular framework. Description, advantages, disadvantages. Hmm. 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 Okay. Next. Hmm. Hmm. Requirements. Okay. See next important one. Nowadays more popular framework. Keyword driven framework. Keyword driven framework. See, before discussing keyword driven framework, one more is there hybrid framework. Hybrid framework means it is a combination of two or more approaches. See, before discussing keyword driven framework, keyword driven testing. See, UFT tool tag is advanced keyword driven testing. UFT supports advanced keyword driven testing. See, keyword driven testing. UFT supports advanced keyword driven testing. First of all, what is keyword driven testing? In this approach, tests can be created and executed using keywords. See, what is keyword? What type of keywords that we have in UFT? I will explain. First, just a definition. In this approach, tests can be created and executed using keywords. Same this keyword driven approach only we use in this keyword driven framework. Remember, keyword driven testing is different, keyword driven framework is different. We use this approach in this keyword driven framework. Keywords in this approach, you take any statement, keywords are there. Just a minute. You take any test, generate one test. Arjun, can you hear me? Okay. See, this is one small test. login test. You take any statement. System util, it is keyword. Utility object is keyword. Run method, it is keyword. Dialog test object keyword, method keyword. Set keyword. See, all these are keywords. See, first keyword. What is keyword? Say this is global term, general term. You can find this term in all programming languages and scripting languages. Can you tell me, Brenda, what is keyword? Do you heard this term, keyword term? You didn't heard this term, keyword? Okay, cool. Shivaram, what is keyword? Say in C language, Java, you take any programming language or scripting language, even in Oracle also, keyword concept is there. See, global term. Keyword means a key to the code. It is a reserved word. A key to the code. Simple definition. A key to the code. For example, function is keyword. Suppose you want to generate date, system date. You no need to write any code. In VB script, date function is there. Use that date function for generating system date. DATE, that DATE is key to the code. Code, Microsoft prepared that code. You can use that code. Suppose you want to check whether the value is numeric value or not. For that you no need to write any code. Is numeric function is there. That is numeric is key to the code. A key to the code. Or you can say it is a reserved word. Reserved word that refers a command or function or method or object or statement, etc. Say in our UFT test automation, we use different types of keywords. Some keywords belongs to UFT. Some keywords belongs to VB script. You know that concept. Just I am listing out all keywords in our UFT test automation. Keywords in UFT test automation. Keywords in UFT test automation. Types of keywords in UFT test automation. Say utility objects. Utility objects also keywords. Utility objects belongs to UFT tool or VB script, Sultana. Utility objects belongs to UFT or VB script. VB script. What are utility objects? Tell me the definition. System.util, one of the example. Tell me, Silpa, what are utility objects?
Utility object belongs to UFT.
See, utility objects are UFT reserved objects used for testing and result reporting. But Sultana saying utility object script. No, Sultana. UFT tool. Okay, cool. See, give some examples for utility objects, Surendra. See, this keyword belongs to run is method. Okay, you don't need to say methods. System util. Next, recollect. What is execute? See, we used several utility objects in our test automation. Recollect, system util, Brenda, system util. Browser is test object. Repositories collection dot add is method. Depositories collection. Next, Anita, continue, Anita. Repositories collection single word. Reporter services environment description, etc. Utility objects also keywords. Next, test objects. Test objects belongs to UFT or VB script, Sultana. Just identify. No, UFT only. Some examples for test objects. Browser, page, link. Suppose button in test object names vary. Test object names vary from one environment to another. Suppose button in Windows environment, Win button. Button in web environment, Web button. Next, button in VB environment, VB button, etc. See, test objects, utility objects, test objects. Next, automation objects. Automation objects. Tell me, Anita, automation objects belongs to UFT or VB script? No, VB script. See, Excel application object, file system object belongs to UFT tool. Automation objects. See, remember, automation objects are user-defined objects. See, some keywords predefined. We can't change that name. Some keywords user-defined. Suppose utility object, automation objects names local na? Huh? User defined functions are there na? Hello? User defined function names local. Suppose you can use login, function name login, or register, or submit, any meaningful name. See, automation objects local. You can use your own names. Suppose OBJFSO, OBJXL, OBJWord, etc. Automation objects belongs to VB script. See, utility objects, test objects, automation objects. Next, functions. See, we have two categories of functions, built-in functions and user-defined. Built-in functions names standard, global. You can't change that names. But user-defined functions, user-defined keywords, you can use your own names. See, first, see in this, concentrate. In this chapter, I am listing out all keywords of UFT and VB script. Built-in functions. In built-in functions examples, here are also some categories of built-in functions. For example, array functions. Give some examples for array functions, Brenda. Array functions. Give some examples. Built-in functions names standard, fixed. We discussed built-in functions in built-in functions chapter na. Just give some names of array functions. Dim is VB script statement. First of all, dim is not function. Try to identify the keywords properly. Just a minute, one by one. Continue, Brenda. Dim is not built-in function. IsArray is built-in function. See, okay. Array also function with same name function is there. Next, is array. Continue. What is input? Okay. Split, join, L bound, all we discussed. U bound, etc. Next important category, Surendra. String functions. Give some examples for string functions. String functions. String compare. Say left, right, mid, str comp, etc. Next, Silpa. Date and time functions. Yes. Good. Date also function. Time. Date and time now. Next important function. Date difference. Date diff, etc. Next, Anita. Conversion functions. Conversion functions. C int, CDBL. What about L case, U case? L case, U case also conversion functions na? Converting from upper to lower, like etc. Next, Sultana, IO functions, input output functions. IO functions would try to identify the keywords. Shivaram, IO functions. Message box, it is output function. Input box, MSG box. Okay. Put mute. Next, miscellaneous. Sultana, can you tell me other than above? Miscellaneous, not belongs to any category. Anita, miscellaneous category, other than above. See, next, user-defined functions also keywords, but names local. User-defined functions. Example, login, register, etc. Next, methods. Methods also keywords. Say, in our test automation, we use two types of methods, global methods, local methods. Global methods for all types of scripting, local methods exclusively created for UFT test automation. See, local methods we apply on test objects and utility objects. Global methods we apply on automation objects. Suppose what methods we use in file system object model, Excel object model, Word object model, database object models, they are global methods. Why? For all types of scripting. They are for all types of scripting. Local methods activate, set, select, get RO, property. Continue, Sultana. Give some examples for local methods that were. Set, set already we used. Set, select, activate. Continue. Local methods we use on test. We use on test objects and utility objects. Okay. Methods on test objects. Tell me. You don't know methods. I introduced in methods chapter na. Continue, Brenda. Examples for methods. Get visible text. Run method on utility object. Next. Select already used. Click, close, set secure. navigate, sync, etc. Next, global methods. Global methods. Uh, what methods we use in automation object models? They are global methods for all types of scripting, not only for UFT. Sivaram, give some examples for global methods. Suppose in file system object model, give some examples. Create, folder, copy folder, create text file. Next, read, read line, read all, single word. Next, write, etc. Next, some method examples in Excel object model. Surendra, Excel object model. Okay, save. So methods example in database object models, Brenda. Database object models. Silpa. Sivaram.
Sir, record set, sir.
Record set is not method. Open, close, move next. EOF is property. Move next, move first, etc. Next, statements, VB script statements. Now, give examples for VB script statements. Brenda, already you told not dim, const, if, for, set, option, explicit, on error, resume next, etc. Others. Shivaram, anything else? Others? For example, rem. What is rem? Oh, it's comment. Comment, okay. What is rem? Is it statement or function? Statement. Rem. Next, execute file statement. Suppose others not What is not? Operator. See, just a minute. Not and or mod, etc. See, these are the important types of keywords that we use in UFT test automation. Sultana, list out the keywords. I don't want examples. Only keyword types. Nearly 6-7 types we discussed now. Just headings. Types of keywords in UFT test automation. Utility objects. Okay, functions over. What is input output? I don't want examples. Okay. Methods. Next. SVB script statements and others. Okay. Now come to this one. Mainstream. Key elements of automation framework. First one, a well-defined folder structure for storing and organizing automation resources. A well-defined folder structure. Next, organizer spreadsheet, otherwise you can say organizer file. Next, driver script. Next, initialization script. Next, process guidelines. Docs, one or more. See, these are the important components of any framework. See, I will explain one model framework folder structure. See, folder structure may vary from one company to another and one project to another. See, we follow one model folder structure. Depends on your company folder structure you can follow. See, I will explain one model folder structure. First, main folder with project name. Main folder. Under this main folder, subfolders. Object repository. For storing shared object or repository files. Next, function library for library files, one or more. Next, environment for storing environment variables files, one or more. Next, recovery for storing recovery scenario files, recovery scenario files. Next, test data for storing test data files. Next, test result for storing test results files, one or more. Next, organizer for storing organizer spreadsheets. Next, drivers for storing driver scripts, one or more. See, if it is a large scale project, you can create module wise driver. If it is small scale project, single driver. For storing driver script. Next, miscellaneous. See, other than above. In this folder, you can store process guidelines docs, process guidelines docs. Next, approval docs, approval from management, approval docs. Next, instructions by team lead, etc. See, these are the important subfolders in this main folder. Next, and one file also. This is independent file. See, one folder may have subfolders and files. Here, file is initialization script. This is AOM script file, VBS file. So create one folder structure. Suppose project, here you can use project name underscore automation. See, generally we create all folders. Sometimes we can't use all folders. See, we create all folders based on your project requirement. You can use them. See, some folders formal. See, suppose if you don't want to use environment variables in your tests, you no need to use environment folder. Suppose in your project you don't want to use recovery scenarios, you just leave the blank folder. Suppose in your project you don't want to use recovery scenarios, leave that recovery folder as blank, but create all folders. Use the folders based on your requirement. See, I forgot one more thing. Test scenarios. Test scenarios. Continue, Anita. Test scenarios. Next, object repository.
Function library.
Good. Use single quotes. No issue. Function library. Environment. Recovery. Recovery. Test data. Test result. Organizer. Drivers. Next, miscellaneous. Just a minute. Initialization is script, not that is file, not folder. See, miscellaneous. See, first I will explain high level steps, process guideline steps, high level steps. See, already I covered in tasks to be performed topic. First one, create folder structure, already created. to store automation resources. Next, create automation resources and store. Next, create organizer. What is the functionality of organizer? It provides instructions. It provides instructions to driver script. Next, generate driver script. What is the functionality of driver script? So it is UFT test. All resources can be associated with the driver. Why? It has to execute tests one by one. It has to execute all tests. So all resources can be associated with driver script. Next, it executes tests one by one and export test result based on organizer instructions. Next, generate initialization script. What is the functionality of initialization script? Brenda, already we discussed it. Tell me the functionality of initialization script. It is AOM script file, VBS file. What is the functionality? Yes, it launches UFT tool. Next, second functionality. Calls the driver script and at end closes UFT tool. See, 5 high level steps I explained. Tell me, Shivaram, 5 high level steps I explained for this framework. What are the steps? Create folder structure to store and organize automation resources. Next, continue, Surendra. No response. Silpa, continue. Organizer. What is the functionality of organizer? Next. What is the functionality of driver script? Okay. Last step. Uh, uh, okay. Okay. See, first test scenarios. Suppose user module. User module. See, automation scenario header. This format varies from one company to another and one project to another. We follow one model format. Automation test scenario format. See, serial number. Next, scenario name. Next, pre-setup or prerequisites. Next, navigation or you can say steps. Next, navigation or steps. Next, verification points, one or more. Error handling. Input data. Remarks. See, scenario name, scenario number, serial number 1. Suppose in flight reservation application, login scenario. See, for login, pre-setup none. We prepare this login test from scratch, launching application. Navigation or steps. First, launch the application. Next, enter agent name. Enter password. Click default button. Here default button is OK button. Next, verification point. Tell me, Sultana, what is the verification point in this login scenario of flight reservation? Suppose after entering agent name and password, click OK button and then try to identify the verification point. Flight reservation window. See, outcome is flight reservation window. Check the existence of flight reservation window. If it exists, then pass, otherwise fail. Next, error handling, Anita. Suppose if any one is invalid, then it raises error pop-up now. We need to close error pop-up and cancel this login dialog. Agent name equal to suppose any 4-digit value. Next, password Mercury. See, like this we can prepare test scenarios. We will continue tomorrow same time. Thank you.